So today is September 23rd, and I am with Annie Luck, who is our principal faster in the North American Relay Fast for today. And Annie is the secretary for IGINP Canada. That's the International Gandhian Institute for Nonviolence and Peace Canada, lately known for a major fundraising campaign to support COVID relief in India. So, Annie, this is the second year you're fasting with us. Could you start by maybe talking about what fasting means to you, what you have learned through the experience of fasting?
It's the second year, and I was trying to remember what I learned last year earlier today. And I was actually trying to compare the 2 days from last year and this year's. So I think last year I was just kind of in between teaching kind of commitments that particular week. So I think I had a lot of time to kind of think about things and, I felt just a bit more immersed in the fasting experience. This year, I'm in the middle of different work commitments, and I feel like I, I haven't been able to quite as like into the fasting experience as I would like. But I think that in itself tells me something as well. That it's just um, unfortunately today, because just different work commitments, that I end up feeling like since I'm not eating, I actually have more time to do my work, which is not good. It's not the idea of fasting. But I mean, I think that also just tells us that, I mean, at least what I get from it is maybe it's not just the fasting itself, it's just really taking time. And I think unfortunately this today I'm not really fasting maybe in the full spirit of fasting. So it's so fasting to me, I think this year means that it's not just not eating. And I think that's a little bit different from what I was getting out of it last year. Last year, I think I was really like, in a more meditative state and thinking about things and taking time. And this year is just quite a contrast. It's just like, oh, I don't need the time for lunch today. I'm just going to like work on some stuff. So, I mean, as much as now it's 3:30 in the afternoon my time, and so I just have a few more hours left, and hopefully I can kind of like dial back and just slow down and enjoy the last bit of my fast before I break it with dinner. But yeah, I feel like it's just, I guess, going back to like just the pace and all the external commitments that we have. It's just really hard to kind of take time to think about things and big things. Whereas I think, yeah, comparing to last year, I feel like I had more kind of, I don't know, insights or something through the fasting experience. But yeah,
Do
so
you
I guess I have to do it again.
Well, that's good for next year, but do you think maybe it has part of the difference might be that last year we were in the middle of the pandemic shutdown and the world itself was moving more slowly. And now we're back, even though in Canada we're in the fourth wave and there are shutdowns happening, it feels more like we're back into the something that's more quote unquote normal. Do you think that has something to do with it?
I think so. I think so. I think that's kind of the broader context that we have, definitely. But I'm also thinking that kind of my personal situation was quite different. Last September, most of my work commitments were just kind of done. Like I was waiting for the defense for my final oral exam to happen in later on in November. There wasn't much for me to do, and I was just in between things, and so just yeah. But you know what? It's personal situation fluctuates, but I think the challenges that we're talking about unfortunately are still there.
Yeah.
So I think it's a little bit of it serves a little bit as a reminder for me that as much as it gets easy to get swept into kind of the day-to-day busyness of things, it's important to, keep at least, some part of my brain thinking, attention, intention on kind of the broader issues that there are still around us.
So you are fasting for education that's just and equitable for all adult learners. Can you talk about that in relation to one or more of the foci for our North American Relay Fast this year, which, just to remind people, are the justice for Indigenous peoples, climate justice, and nonviolent economy?
Yeah, so the first thing that came to mind is one of the teaching gigs that I have right now is working with Indigenous students um, on their first year in the community worker program. And we only have 8 students every year. On one hand, it's great. It's a small group. We could, work really closely together. But on the other hand, the reality is there's only funding to support 8 people. And, every year the program gets tons and tons of applications. And there is no equity in just only able to offer the program to 8. And on top of it, it's just, as much as I do appreciate the fact that, the program's offered through Anishinaabe Health, it's all Indigenous. There are many things around it, that it's the first year program. The second year, students, some of them, if they choose to continue, will transition to George Brown College, which is, I don't know, a mainstream or conventional post-secondary college. And every now and then, as we work through the first year program, I teach writing, but we talk about study skills and all the stuff, and how to prepare for post-secondary. And I always feel like I have to kind of prepare them to leave this really welcoming. I mean, I'm not saying that George Brown is not welcoming, but it's all Indigenous environment over to a much less so. And it's all this kind of contrasting, I don't know, setups just always make me feel like we still have a really, really long way to go. That I wish we could at some point just have, Indigenous students wouldn't need to have a separate tiny little program so they could feel safe to work on their studies. I wish, I wouldn't have to prep them to get ready, to go into George Brown or any other college for that matter. Because not that because people would be mean or anything, it's just it's just different. Where we're now talking with very clear Indigenous focus, I know it's just not going to be. I mean, I assume things are getting a little bit better, but it's just not the same. So, and here it's everyone's Indigenous, whereas once they move on, they might be the only student in the class or one of very few. All those experiences, I just wish at some point down, maybe hopefully not too far distant future, that we wouldn't need to talk about that. And to me, that I think it's kind of equitable education for everyone. That I keep thinking if this could just be a short-term solution to at least for as many people as possible, that would be great progress for education.
So there's still a lot to be done, a lot to think about.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Annie. And congratulations on your fast. And I hope you enjoy your dinner tonight.